This broadcast of Newswire L.A. was filmed using the facilities of Vintage Hollywood. Vintage Hollywood, dinner, dancing, and more. Hi, and welcome to the series premiere of Newswire L.A. I'm your host, Chin Thomasangsi. And we're starting the series off with something we're calling our People to Watch segment. In that segment, we're going to profile an individual by the name of Austin Dragon. Austin Dragon, along with several other candidates, unsuccessfully attempted to run for a seat on the 10th District City Council. But even though he lost, he hasn't been deterred by that, and in fact he's been pushing forward ever since to continue his political aspirations. That's what caught our attention, so Newswire L.A. decided to bring Austin in for a sit-down interview. In that interview, he's going to tell us what he thinks the problems are, what he thinks the solutions are, and he's going to give us a glimpse into the future, both his and the city's. So without further ado, let's go to Newswire L.A.'s Jamie Wright, who is with Austin Dragon right now at Vintage Hollywood in Los Angeles. We'll see you back here in a little while.
Good afternoon. I'm Jamie Wright, your host for this inaugural edition of Newswire Los Angeles, here with our interviewee, Austin Dragon. Austin, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Austin, you have had a career that encapsulates a myriad of different avenues, from an employment specialist to a business mogul to an education activist, from being in the Army. What motivated you to run for office for Los Angeles City Council District 10?
Well, the main thing for me is what got me involved in politics was education. And then in being on the employment side, seeing the number of young people come out, whether it's K through 12 or college, and just not have those skills. And really there's no reason for that. And then really looking at how do we change that through politics. And that's really what got me involved in the whole process to begin with. How do we fix that situation?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. And so what are some of your ideas on fixing those educational gaps that you see?
Well, it's a little different because those are two different offices, whether you run for school board or run for city. I ran for city. Basically, it is just focusing on the things that schools should be doing, which is reading, writing, arithmetic, keeping them safe, having some kind of character building in school, as opposed to what's going on now, where it really is getting paid for keeping children in a chair. That's really all that's happening. So they get paid whether Johnny can read or not. And until we change that, nothing's going to change. And also, we have a lot of our young people being taught by people who don't live in a community. And I think that does have an impact as well. And the other thing is that the people really have to, I think they have to get angry with what's going on, because we're now talking about a situation that's been going on decades. And it's getting worse. I'm seeing the problem. It's not just a K through 12 problem, it's a college problem. I see people coming out of our four-year universities without those skills, which makes sense, because if K through 12 is not teaching them, then colleges are going to dumb down their curriculum. So basically, much of college is basically becoming high school. That's what's happening. Yeah.
You seem to have very astute views on what the problems are, and as such, what do you think happened in the primary election on March 8th, you being the person that has these skills and ideas, and then there being an incumbent getting 73% of the vote and you getting 2.65% of the vote?
One of the things about politics is it doesn't matter if you have the best ideas. If that were the case, all good people would be elected to office, and that's not the case. You have to have the resources. That's what it comes down to. For an incumbent, they have the name ID, they have the connections. So really it comes down to the money, unfortunately. As much as we'd like to say it shouldn't be about that, it should be about ideas, it has to be about money, because you have to get your face in front of the electorate, those people that do vote all the time, and those people who are registered to vote but may or may not vote. You have to get in front of those people, and it's physically impossible to meet every single one of them, and unfortunately most people don't always watch all the debates, so you have to get in front of them some way, whether it's through commercials or direct mail or that kind of thing. So one of the things I reminded people is that the incumbent in the last go-around in 2007, he raised $850,000 and he had no challenger. So if he has all of these challengers, clearly if you wanted to be competitive, you had to raise close to that. And it just, with everything going on with the economy and other things, the resources just wasn't there this time around. Okay. Yeah.
So moving forward in the future, how do you see yourself being able to get the name recognition and the resources in order to beat someone who might be the hand-selected person of the incumbent?
It's really working on those resources, and for me, it's if you can't put together through your Rolodex and the context you have, if you can't put together the amount of money you need, you shouldn't run. I know there are a lot of people who, oh, I like to run because I want to get the ideas out. No, I'm running to win. If there isn't a clear path for me to win, then there really is no point. I'm young enough, I could, I can wait until I can get that. And that's one of the things I'm not going to do the next time. If I can't put those together, those resources, to run properly, the amount of time that you spend, the energy and all of that, meeting with a lot of people and getting their hopes up, you got to be a viable candidate.
Absolutely. And so knowing that essentially what resources mean is money for politics.
It comes down to money, unfortunately.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, do you think that shapes the ideology of the elected official? Do they then become a rock star? Do they shift their focus from writing legislation and putting forth things that are good for the community and become an entertainer?
Yeah, the money thing is a problem, but the saying is democracy is the worst form of government except when compared to all the other alternatives. So, and that truly is the case when you have the issue of money. What it means is that you have a lot of good people that are just kept out of the system. Because most people, let's be honest, they're busy with business and their family and all of that. And the kind of people, unfortunately, we have coming in who understand the game and become that hand-picked person, man or woman, it's a very small universe. Because part of it is you have to play their game. And that's the problem we have. We need people who are just going to wipe all of that away and really get down to, I'm looking out for the community first. It's not about me. It's not about me filling my pocket and and looking out for my friends. It's about helping the community. And unfortunately, a lot of those people, there really isn't a school for them. So they come into the process and it's like, I have these great ideas. I have this passion about helping my community, but they will never even be allowed in the gate because they don't know what it takes to put together those resources. Yeah.
So in terms of looking out for the community, since running for office, what have you been doing in the community to sort of keep your name and your face out there?
I've been talking with a lot of small business because that, as you know, we have a lot of people leaving Los Angeles, leaving California. The economy is still #1. I know a lot of them. A lot of people tell me with their own businesses, 3 to 5 years, I don't even know if we're going to even be here. Meaning that they don't know if they will still be able to run their business, or they're just tired of all the regulation and all of the taxes and all of that. They'll just leave. So that's one thing I've been doing, and the other thing is just my career, what I've been doing for over the last 15 years, which is getting people jobs. That's what I do. I really enjoy it, and that's why I've done it for so long.
Being a recruiter.
Being a recruiter.
Okay.
My job is getting people jobs.
Okay. So you love being a recruiter, but do you plan on ever running for office again?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Same position?
Probably, yes. Yeah. I always feel that local politics is where it's at. You start there, and then you build from there.
So then what would be your scheme or plan to sort of effectively evaluate where we're spending our money? What would you do?
Well, my basic plan when I was running for city council is just start with the books. We need to know exactly where the money is going. We have to know what the money is going out, what the money is coming in. Look at everything, and I do mean everything, whether it's the budget of a council person. Look at where everything is and be as transparent as possible. So when you're talking about making cuts, people look at the process and they say, okay, this is an honest, transparent process. Okay, I'm willing to hear what your suggestions are, rather than we're just going to focus on the pensions, or we're just going to focus on this group, or we're just going to look at everything, because the problem involves everything. So that's what we have to do. And also part of that is the state likes to play games. They could come in and take our money. So the county, again, has to be. So look at all of these different things and then piece together a plan that we're going to reform the entire budget, because the budget really is just, it's phony. It's not real. It's all phantom numbers. And we got to change that.
Austin, the current state of affairs in Los Angeles is dire. And so I want to know from you, what are your thoughts on politics and how government is currently run in Los Angeles? And in your grand scheme, what would you do to restructure it?
Yeah, that's a real big question, because part of the problem also is the state, because the state has their hands in so much. Really, I think it just comes down to the leadership. If we can just start there, get the right people in office who really look at their office as public service rather than they are royalty, and we are just the little peons out here in Los Angeles. If their bottom line is, I'm going to do right by my community, I'm going to get things solved, rather than I'm looking for my next higher office, then things will dramatically change. But it really comes down to the leadership, and that's what we don't have. And once we have those leaders that have the right priority, their heart in the right place, we start getting things done, then we could start looking at some of those other issues, which include the state, which is meddling. I think they just meddle too much. Then we have the county has a piece of the pie, then we have the federal government, so we have all of these actors in what goes on in our city. So that really is a problem, but it starts with the leadership in City Hall.
Okay. And the leadership in City Hall has had a lot to say about a lot of different issues, but one of late is pension reform.
Right.
There seems to be a lot of discussion around that topic. What are your ideas on pension reform, and what would be your thoughts if you were an elected official on handling that contentious issue?
Yeah, it's very contentious, because there are a lot of people that just really vested in the status quo, even though there's a reason why the private sector went away from pensions, because ultimately they're unsustainable. That is not to say, however, that I don't have the utmost respect for our police, our fire, all of our employees, but we should never have been down this road to begin with. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And I would like to see the leadership of the different unions involved in that discussion. Otherwise, we just go bankrupt. And again, this is why the private sector got rid of this. And unfortunately, we have a lot of politics involved. You can't touch it. Well, you know, what's going to happen? And in fact, it's already starting to happen across this country. There was a city in Alabama. They just stopped paying pensions, the pension checks. They just stopped it because there was literally no money. Now, if that's in a tiny town in Alabama, what is going to happen? The scope of what could happen here in Los Angeles and other big cities, whether it's New York or what have you, the same thing is going to happen. It's going to be a lot more dire. So we have to have that discussion. And it shouldn't be just we're going to focus in on just the pensions. That should be part of the overall discussion in terms of just the financial stability of the city. What are we spending all this money on? What are the perks that we don't know about that people are getting that they shouldn't be getting? What are the people that we hire? Should they really be hired, or they're somebody's friend of someone's niece of someone? We really need to look at the big picture. It kind of reminds me of that movie Dave, where with Kevin Kline and Charles Grodin, and Kevin Kline was playing the president. He had his friend who was an accountant. He said, I just look over the books. And he just said, you know, if a business ran like this, they'd be out of business the next day. But this is how we're running our government. It's crazy.
This is Newswire L.A., and we'll be back with more of our interview with Austin Dragon in a moment. This broadcast of Newswire L.A. was filmed using the facilities of Vintage Hollywood. Located at 4000 West Washington Boulevard, this facility is also available for private parties and events. For more information, call 323-733-1360 or 323-216-7528. Vintage Hollywood, dinner, dancing, and more.